What if a single line of Apex you wrote 10 years ago was still emailing you today? Yesterday, a zero-day exploit hit Salesforce community. Most admins never even noticed. Welcome back to the Salesforce Posse podcast. Today we flip open the ledgers of the world's #1 CRM and ask, when does innovation become liability? Andre van Kampen is a 5-time Salesforce MVP, a business architect and founder of Your Dreaming, and the brain behind countless enterprise rescues across manufacturing, EV, healthcare and non-profit sectors. In 12 years, he's migrated legacy orgs, unraveled record-type spaghetti, and coached admins from Amsterdam to Sydney while leading the Dutch Salesforce community. In this conversation, you'll learn the 3 silent killers lurking in mature orgs and how to spot them before your CTO does. Why moving processes to flow can save or sink your business. The simple habit that slashes tech debt cleanup from years to weeks. And a step-by-step blueprint to rebuild trust with your users and executives when your CRM is on fire. Whether you're a solo admin, a CTO or founder betting the farm on customer data, the next few minutes could save you millions and a lot of sleepless nights. Andre ends this episode with one of the best pieces of advice that I think I've heard in a while. So stick around to hear that. Ironically, we recorded this podcast earlier in the year before all the security issues around connected apps and third-party vendors came to light. So it's even more relevant now than when we first spoke. So hit subscribe, grab a coffee, and let's dive into the dark side of digital transformation. Let's go. So I'm here at the World Tour / Agent Force World Tour / TDX. But that's TDX tomorrow, right?
Yes, TDX is tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay, cool. So it's just Agent Force World Tour. I'm here with Andre, and we thought we'd have a talk about legacy orgs, tech debt, and the world of that kind of stuff. Because we've been around for a while, right? And I think orgs are getting mature now, and people are stumbling more and more on tech debt. But before we start, I think I'm going to dive straight in and ask, what has been like the worst tech debt org that you have experienced?
Yes. The worst. So there would have been one where there was like a bit of, let's say, record type spaghetti.
Right.
Because, one company, multiple brands under the company, all in the same org, which is
fine.
A good idea at the time. But then fast forward 10 years, and no one has really updated anything. They've just built on top and on top and on top. Processes changed in the company, teams changed, company structure changed, but none of the Salesforce stuff or integrations changed. And I was happy to inherit that.
Yeah, I think my worst one was one where they went config crazy because they didn't understand the code. And it was in the days of, workflows, and flow didn't exist, process didn't exist. And it was just, again, that kind of config spaghetti of craziness. You just didn't know where you were, what was firing what was firing when. And I think orgs are getting that way again, right? As we're hitting this maturity. So where do you see as like the biggest issues that people are facing now with their orgs as they evolve over time? Common mistakes that happen.
Oh, not updating validation rules.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest one, but also the easiest one to fix usually.
Yeah.
But then there's of course a bit more difficult one, because flows are now becoming a lot easier to create.
Yeah.
So even people like myself can easily create flows, but I don't always know about the Apex, like anything Apex related, what actually happens there. The amount of times that myself or someone in the team have created the flow, and of course we check, the flow, workflows and process builder flows. Did that, is there anything overlapping? And we updated that. Nothing in code. Like we didn't do the checks, and that's causing a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And I found one org where I'm like, oh, who did this? I'm like, Oh, that was me 9 years ago.
Yes.
Oops.
Thanks for watching the podcast so far. Now, I would like if you could just do me a little favour. Now, over 95% of you don't subscribe or follow this Salesforce Posse podcast. And it'd be great if you could just click the button so more people can find out about the podcast. And also that this podcast is sponsored by the amazing Nintex Salesforce document generation and process automation company. Now, I've used their DocGen tool and recommended it to many companies over the years, and it allows me to create documents with ease, all without a single line of code, so that organizations can focus on what really matters. But with all that said, let's carry on with the podcast.
I've got an email that is sent to me periodically throughout the year, which was a 10-year-old org where I just, in Apex, kind of, I'll just email this out if it hits this exception, because I want to know about it. And that's it. It's been there in it ever since. So every now and again, periodically throughout the year, this exception fires and I get an email. But obviously, the email is really detailed, right?
Sure.
Yeah. And so no idea where it is or what it is. It's just like, there was an error and that was it.
Always fun, yes.
But it's never been changed in the 10 years since I worked there. But yeah. So pleased I wasn't sucking data out of the world, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Because I think, and actually that comes onto another thing around tech debt. It's like even just users and processes that are happening, firing data off, and you haven't reviewed it, you don't know about it. And actually, there is still these App Exchange apps that have access to your org.
Yes.
And the data.
I think one of the, I'm not sure if we're ready for the solutions yet. One of the things, of course, two things that Salesforce is pushing now is migrate from profiles to permission sets.
Yeah.
That's a huge opportunity to review all of that stuff, especially when it comes to sharing and security.
Yeah.
But also the move from flows and process builder stuff to, workflows and process builder stuff into flows.
Yeah.
That's also a big opportunity. And to me, if you do those two things as two separate projects, preferably within the same year, that will probably fix, I don't know, like 3/4 of your technical debt if you have any.
Yeah. But then, if it ain't broke, why fix it?
Because Salesforce says the standards are changing.
Yeah.
So it will break eventually.
Yeah, exactly.
Might as well start early.
But we still have S controls.
Yes.
In some orgs.
So, just for anyone watching who doesn't know what S controls are, what is it?
So S controls were the UI, it was pre-Visualforce, right? And so if you wanted to create a kind of interface in Salesforce, you'd create a JavaScript kind of front-end UI using S controls. And they still exist in the org today. And this is where it's kind of quite interesting, because it's like, well, you've got, you could consider that as tech debt, right? But it became tech debt 15 years ago, right? But they're still there, right? And you can't create any new ones if your org's got S controls in. You can edit the existing ones.
Yeah.
But I think this is where kind of the interesting thing around, Salesforce obviously wants to move us off workflows, process builder, and move it into Flow, migrate into Flow. But I think you've got the challenge of there is so many orgs full of workflows, just legacy workflows that are there. And I haven't done a big project migrating workflows into Flow yet. But what kind of makes me nervous is that workflows are executing in a certain order. I migrate them to Flow, and I can change the order of execution in the Flow, but you've got potentially a lot of regression testing in it. And it goes back to that, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But it's that nervous thing of kind of Salesforce thinks, we've got a migration tool to migrate workflows to flows. Therefore, in the future, we could just go, right, end of the year, workflows are dead to us, you've got to be all migrated over.
Sure, but realistically, are those flows still? Do they still represent or support the business processes?
Which probably 90% don't. Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. True. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And that is that kind of clearing up and reshifting. But then also, it's like if you're not doing best practices in the way you create the flows, you could be just like the migration wizard for workflows to flows is literally push a button, I've done it, but you've just replicated all the workflow rules as separate flows, and you haven't really tidied up the execution of it, right? So actually, it's doing that as well, right?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, yeah. I'm to be very honest, I'm not a big fan of those migration tools.
No, me neither.
And I said those migration tools because we've tried it with the workflow migration, but also with the profile migration.
Right.
I have to say the profile to permission set conversion tool is 100 times better. It's really useful, except for the record type assignments.
Right.
It doesn't actually, like, it just ignores them.
Oh, right, really? Okay.
So make sure you do that manually afterward. The flow migration tool, it's just I don't know. So far, it's costed me a lot more time because I did one of those projects together with a few other people, and there's so much more time to actually clean up whatever it spits out than to start from scratch and
actually re-architect it.
Yeah. And really going almost starting from scratch. Go to the business and stakeholders and users and everyone who should say something about the processes or knows about the processes. Just start from scratch. What's the process? What's the ins and the outs and or inputs, outputs, and then create a flow.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of value in doing that, right? Yeah.
And you might even find that sometimes it might be easier to, especially with all the flows or all the workflows, to use some standard functionality which is released, say, in the last year or two, or use an App Exchange app because there's also a lot of those that could be useful, and sometimes even move something to Apex. Sometimes this is better.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's actually right, because we've kind of these potentially 10, 15 year olds orgs didn't have that functionality we have now, right? Yeah. And that is a very valid thing. It's like actually the cleaning up could be just getting rid of a lot of stuff because you've already now got new stuff that can supersede it and be a lot better. Okay, so if somebody knew, okay, I've inherited this org, right? What are the first things in the step-by-step process I would go about just trying to tackle it? Like, obviously I couldn't stop all current work and working on it, but I know it needs to be tidied up. How do we go about it?
I would first check the release updates.
Right. Yeah.
Because for some reason there's always a release update that needed to be done last week. I don't know how. It always happens.
I'm sure I checked it last week. I'm sure of it. But yes.
So yeah, definitely that. And I would then just go treat it as if it's a new environment you've never seen this before. Open setup and go through every single item just to see if there's anything there. And you'll probably find a lot of things that you can just remove or disable. Yeah. For instance, network access. All the lists of IP addresses
that have been 10-year-old offices that you used to have.
Yes. But also active users that have left the company more than a week ago. They should be disabled. And then when you start that journey, you're going to find more and more stuff. But those are the two things I would definitely check first. That's how I learned using Salesforce and what it is. This is way before Trailhead, way before Lightning. So I'm like, okay, so what does this do? Go through it?
And you've got the list perfectly for my head for you. Okay, so I've gone through the setup. Yes. I've kind of done that current state understanding of what we have or what we don't have. What next?
Yes. Just in case, when you go through all of that, make sure to really double check several times the company details, company information page. Because there you have your data limits and your file storage limits. And also any other limits, the license limits. Because those are not really technical issues, but you would often need approval from someone within your company to fix that. Just to avoid, you go over those limits and then suddenly you get a proposal from Salesforce like, please pay this.
I think also one of the other things I kind of look for is, like, actually related to the company information is, oh wow, we've got external users, or we've got chatter groups that are being shared with customers and there's files there, or actually it's kind of like doing that current state of how we use Salesforce and understanding, even with the migration of the profiles to the grid checks and things like that, going, oh wow, we allow users to share files to anybody on the internet.
Yes.
Is that something we want? And it kind of can open up lots of other questions, even just going through it, line by line, right?
True. And then to actually answer a question, which you already half answered anyway, is indeed, I would say once you've done the technical, easy things, but everything you can do as an admin to just make sure it's a bit more safe, a bit more clean, and a bit more streamlined. That's when you then log out of Salesforce and go and talk to your people. And your people could be your managers, stakeholders, key users. If you don't have key users, create a key user group. Really set up that. Kind of look at it as an external consultant. Like how an external consultant, do this from the beginning. Discovery sessions, requirement sessions, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So really analyze all that, put on paper, or get an architect involved, depending on the size and complexity of the departments, processes, company, and then come up with a new solution.
And then work out that plan to get there, right?
Yes. And sometimes, like for some companies, this could be only a one-day thing. Because if you only have like 3, let's say, team leads, the solution can be just a one-page solution. And 3 interviews of half an hour and you're done. It can be that easy, because what I say just sounds like it could be really complicated.
But what if you are like, this is like this crazy massive amount of work, right? Where do you start? Like, okay, I've done the analysis, I've got all this stuff, I've talked to the users, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And I know I want to tidy it up, I've got this goal in sight, but how do I take the first step?
I would look at two variables, so to say, is whoever screams and yells the loudest should probably do something with that, because that's really keeping the user adoption in mind. So whatever you can do to keep the users happy, or make the really unhappy users a bit less unhappy. And then the second one would be security. Because of the technical debt and that complexity, the amount of security, how do you say it? Risks?
Problems? Security risks that you uncover.
Yes. Yeah. You're probably going to find a lot more than you think.
And I find that. Even just little things like you've got communities, you look at the sharing settings, and suddenly you realize that all these objects are being shared publicly, right? Maybe not yet, but you can see the default sharing is public, right? And you're like, public rewrite, that's not quite right.
Yes. If you find that should go first. Like the users can wait. They've been unhappy for a while anyway.
Exactly. And especially like if you're using a digital community, like that would be my first point of call. That is an ingress point, or point where people could attack you, right? And in fact, did you know, yesterday actually I got an alert, there was a 0-day alert on Salesforce communities, which literally first time for a while, right? Never happens, right?
That's fun.
Yeah, and Salesforce patch it like super quick, but it's things like that, and you want protection against that, right? And making sure you kind of, you're only giving access to the portal users or even internal users to do their job, right? And I'm always amazed by how many people get surprised when they realize, their users can download data, right?
Yeah.
Like,
or upload anything.
Really,
anything, everything. And also, just in case, I've also bumped into some people that are like, oh no, we're fine. Especially with Experience Cloud, the portals, we've done that really well. I would almost challenge them to hire an ethical hacker. To try and get in. So I've talked to a few ethical hackers in the past few months, and they said, we almost always will find something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is the thing, it's like, even if it's not everything, it's something that you weren't expecting that needs to be locked down, even if it's a little bit, right? And I think also, as obviously Salesforce is getting a lot more, there's a lot more of it out there, hackers are getting more adverse to how Salesforce works and the ways to get into it as well.
Yes.
So, it's kind of interesting. So, prioritize security first,
Yes.
then user adoption. Now I have my list of stuff to work on, which is cool. But obviously, improving an org's technical debt doesn't really appease the business on all these changes coming through that they want. How do you kind of balance that or pitch it in a way that we need to do this? Because I think a lot of people just get wrapped up in the user story. We need these user stories, we need these user stories, and never actually get to doing this work of actually sorting out the mess or the tech debt. How do you pitch it to an org? How do you pitch it to somebody and say, actually, no, we need to do this?
I find very often, technically this is a really long answer.
Right.
But I find very often it's just showing that whatever they're doing now, how they're using Salesforce and the process, that they can improve that really easily. Because what you find is the process was like this, say 8, 9, 10 years ago. And Salesforce was introduced then. Everyone got training, everyone knew how it worked, it was all efficient. Well, then of course you train your people, your key users, they train the new people, and then maybe some of the old ones leave, and you don't know.
Lost.
Yeah, definitely lost or has changed a little bit.
Yeah.
Processes have changed, but very often then everyone's like, oh, but Salesforce, the tool, it's really not good. It's really not supporting us. We have to do all these things. And I'm like, yeah, that's because 10 years ago we thought this was a good idea, but now out of the box, ta-da! If we do it this way, that saves you, I don't know, like sometimes half an hour a day per person, which doesn't sound like much, but if they have to do it every day, and the main thing is it makes them less unhappy.
Yeah. I think actually, and that goes back to your point of actually logging out of Salesforce and going talking to people.
Yes.
Because I think also you get this kind of almost group think of, well, this is how it is and it has been all along. So what's the point in telling anyone? So you've got all this tech debt you're just unaware of, which is just process change, right?
Yeah.
And without going out and talking to the users, you don't even know it's there.
Yeah.
Invisible tech debt.
Yes. And maybe one lesson I learned, unfortunately, in the last year, is when you go and train people. We made a mistake to do this per department because we thought, oh, you know what? Everyone who works in the same process will train them because they all use it, and that was a good idea at the time. Yeah. But then we found out there's some super users, like some of the people that we were training, they knew Salesforce better and the process better than we did. And there were a few people who heard the word Salesforce for the first time last week, and they logged in an hour before the training for the first time.
Yeah.
Putting those people together doesn't necessarily work.
Yeah.
It just did not work at all.
Yeah.
So that's when we actually group people by experience level.
Yeah, it is. I find it when training, like you rock up to a company and you've got this, what I call them the split groups, where you've got these super engaged, they know the system really well, and they never ever's. And it's like a real struggle to keep both happy or both ends of the spectrum. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And every now and then, those people, the really good super users, they don't really want to train new people for various reasons. Often it's because they've trained so many people, like, this is not my job, they leave within 6 months anyway. Or like, no, if I tell other people how I do this, they're coming for my job.
Yeah.
Which totally understandable, and that's what you have to deal with.
I find that, I actually had an incident where I kind of, when you're doing this, the analysis side of a project, a Salesforce project, especially, I got it a lot when it was greenfield sites, brand new Salesforce org. Yeah. And you could be into asking people questions and getting the analysis out of it, and you basically just see it in their eyes the sudden realization that actually this could be taking my job away, right?
Yes.
And then it was well, actually, no, it's not. It's just going to help you be better at what you do so you can focus on the more important things. But you still have, that, I don't know if you're really telling the truth, if that's the fact or not, or actually you do want to get rid of me, or that is the end goal of this. So which then starts actually that interviewing and talking to users a challenge, right? And you've got like the golden window at the beginning when they don't realise, right? But yeah.
Yes.
Which is one of the problems. And I think AI, and where we are now with agentic AI, is a similar thing, right? Potentially where people are going, actually, I don't want to tell you how I do my job or what I do because you're just going to replace me with AI. So, and it's like, well, no, AI isn't there yet. Maybe. And therefore, actually, you've still got a job. We're still carrying on. But yeah, it's interesting challenges.
And actually with AI, because first we talked about the steady quick wins, the technical stuff. Then step 2, talk to the users. I'd say step 3 or 4 should also be fix your data quality and really do it as part of your data or information strategy.
Yeah. And actually, I actually quite like when I do projects is make sure I have a document generation thing happening at the end of the processes, or if that's what they need, and try and get that in early. Because, so using like Nintex, DocGen or something like that, because for me, that is the end point of your data quality, or one of the endpoints of the data quality. Yes. And actually the users, if they know they're getting this rich document that's coming out that they don't have to create manually, they're going to make sure the data's put in correctly.
Yes.
And so it's not just about looking at the data, it's like building it in your process in such a way that the users want to put the information in to get better information out.
Yes.
Right? I've done the current state, understood that.
Yep.
We've prioritized security and then user adoption. We've also interviewed the users to find those missing processes or processes they've just had to lumber with that were hidden from us.
Yep.
Now we've looked at our data quality, improving that. Then we're done.
No.
Are we ever done?
No, unfortunately not. Because the second you finish with all these projects, and sometimes it could be upgrading or improving your current. Sorry, is this a problem?
It's party time now. Everybody's had their drinks after World Tour and are heading to the next party.
Okay,
it's all good.
That was the noisy part. But yeah, when you're done with, let's say, the improvements, because you have a plan and then you have the solution. The solution could be start a whole new org.
Yeah.
And rebuild everything from there. I've done this once.
Yeah.
Halfway through, well, no, actually, the day of deployment and sort of going from one to the other org, I did ask myself several times, was this the right idea? Was this the right solution? But then after that, it was.
Yeah.
So also keep that in mind. Sometimes it might be easy to just get a new one, start fresh, and then switch at some point. Don't do overlapping things. Just switch.
Switch. Yeah.
But yeah, once you're done with that, unfortunately, you have to make sure there's not more technical debt. There's not still the inactive users. That's for some reason I see that everywhere.
I know. Almost I just like. It is quite incredible, isn't it? Where you get these users that are just frozen or just all over the place still, and they're like, that's money on the table. Right?
Money too, but I'm more looking from a security perspective. If they're frozen, it's fine; they can't log in. But when they're active,
active
and their password hasn't expired yet, because every now and then, I've seen it. There's a user who's a system administrator, so it's full rights.
Yeah.
Very often, it also means the password does not expire.
Yeah.
And they haven't been disabled because they're like, the default lead owner
Yeah.
or one of those things. Because when they applied for the Salesforce license, the first one, this user was the only user.
The default for everything.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And yes, sometimes it can take a week before you can actually disable that user, but it needs to be done.
Yeah, exactly. And also, it's kind of like, well, actually, if your security, if we're saying that security is the priority here, then actually, implementing single sign-on to actually then inform you when those users are being deactivated, right,
Yes.
or disabled, and cascading that down to Salesforce. So you've kind of got a bit of an envelope around it,
Yes,
to secure it.
and I think the next best one will be indeed MFA, multi-factor authentication, because then hopefully the person who has left has a work phone, a company phone, which is then in your possession instead of them, so they still cannot log in. But if it's their first administrator, highly unlikely they have single sign-on or MFA enabled.
Exactly, yeah. And they're still using the default system administrator profile. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's quite incredible, isn't it, what we find? But I think also Salesforce has evolved as well, right? The permissions are getting a little bit more, they're breaking up the permissions more, we can be a bit more granular on what permissions we give who. And so that's kind of improving. But also I kind of think when you've got the pressure of a company wanting you to keep pushing out user stories and you want to fix stuff, but you just don't have the time. One of the things I kind of implement is whatever you touch, you have to tidy up and leave better than when you got it, right? So, okay, you're not doing this big, attacking whole processes and migrating them out of workflow, but at least if I'm going to change that workflow, actually, I'm going to get rid of it and move it into flow. So I'm tidying up as I go along. Yes. And so even if you can't get the time or the budget or the sign-off to do a big project or changing, moving stuff, then at least you can kind of use that as a way of kind of, it's just things take a bit longer, but you're tidying things up as you go.
And you could even try and block like a few hours a week for doing only those things.
Yeah, exactly.
Because for some companies, everything we just discussed could be a 3-year project.
Yeah,
especially if you're a solo admin.
Yeah,
this could be a 5-year project.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you spend, say, half a day a week on this, you'll get there eventually. If you don't do anything, then you're going to end up on the news.
Yeah,
because of some data breach or security breach.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or someone else will come in and then go, "What has this person been doing forever?" And then you have to defend that.
Yeah.
No one wants that.
No, exactly. Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks a lot. I've got one last question I ask you, which I ask everybody on the podcast. Unless you've got anything else you want to say.
I could keep talking about this for 6 hours. So let's not.
Okay, so if you could wind the clock back to a point in your past and give yourself some advice, what point in time would that be, and what advice would it be? Don't go into Salesforce. No.
So that's 2 questions.
Well, yeah.
I'm thinking about the point in time. Yes. So, you ask everyone this question.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Generally, when I remember.
I could have seen this coming.
Well, usually if I was a little bit organised, we would have had a prep call and gone through topics, and I would have said, this is the thing I say.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So that would be... So I started my Salesforce career in 2013. Probably when I started preparing for my admin certification, which was 2 weeks after I started my Salesforce job.
Oh, really?
It took me 6 months.
Yeah.
I probably should have, I would go back to that point now and tell myself, get involved in the community. Because this is the time before Trailhead.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's
definitely
nothing. There's a workbook and that's it,
Yes.
kind of thing, yeah.
I was really lucky. I had a really good mentor, like my employer. And we also had access to the partner portal, the partner learning stuff, which is amazing. But still, actually hearing tips and tricks and stories from peers and other administrators, consultants, architects, anyone, that would really have helped me a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it's knowing. It's one thing functionally knowing how things work. There's another thing about the best practices and how it should be work. So, yeah, brilliant. Well, thanks a lot for being on the show.
Thanks.
I hope you enjoyed it in this crazy world tour, very noisy
Yes.
area. But yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you.